Hello and welcome to another podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. Game week 30 has only just begun, but we are already looking ahead to game week 31 and wildcard drafts. There's a lot of FPL managers with their wildcards still intact and are looking to use it this week. So today I'm joined by Neale, who's going to take us through his draft. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, Andy. Yeah, I'm one of these managers who is seriously considering about playing my wildcard now. I'm pretty sure it will be the case because of the Sheffield United and Man City heavy team I got together for game week 30. So having been stressed about that squad at 5-5 on Wednesday, and I've got to do it all again ahead of next Tuesday's deadline. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a wildcard week for me.
Yeah, I say this is going to be probably the biggest week for wildcards for the rest of the season now. Usual caveats apply, of course. Like, we are recording this quite early before Game Week 31. One of the reasons is there's not actually that much time until it starts up again because the deadline's on Tuesday. By the time we get out all the usual content, the Scoutcast and whatever, there's just going to be no room for the draft. So a lot of people are already tinkering, so we thought we would too, or at least Neale would. I'm not. I don't actually have my wild card, but let's bring up the draft itself. So this is one that you've put together. So what kind of formation is this? 3-4-3, is it, or 3-5-2, or is it variable?
Yeah, 3-5-2 plays 3-4-3 really depend on the fixtures. One thing I really need to look into is rotation pairings for the budget assets. But in order to crowbar in as many of these premium assets as possible, if you've got a poor team value like I have, then you're going to have to make sacrifices. And it's in defence, I think, as you can probably see. So I've only got one real premium option. That's Alexander-Arnold. Maguire's the next most expensive, but even he's only 5.3. You wouldn't class him in the same bracket maybe as like a Doherty or an Alonso. So that's where I've made the savings really. But I do think there's some value to be had there. I think part of my reasoning is also the fact that centre halves, we think, will be the more nailed picks with a view to those 5 subs being made, with a view to rotation possibly. So historically, you would expect centre halves to play week in, week out for the most part. There's some exceptions like Man City, whereas there could be some rotation in the fullback areas, which we have seen at certain clubs as well. So yeah, Lascelles, for example, has got some decent fixtures imminently. So first 3, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, West Ham. He's got Watford and Brighton later in the season. Everton, not so good at first, but again, game week 30 for onwards. They've got Southampton, Villa and Bournemouth all at home, as well as Sheffield United, who, as we saw on Wednesday evening, don't score that many. And yeah, Jack Robinson, who I punted on ahead of game week 30 plus. I'd seen that O'Connell was out, and I'd read previously that Wilder considered Robinson the positional rival for O'Connell. He'd signed him for that reason, to provide backup. And I didn't actually get confirmation of the team news before 5 o'clock. Sometimes would get leaks, and there was a high-profile leak. But not concerning Robinson. So I took a bit of a gamble on him, but it's paid dividends in the first half of game week 30 anyway. We're filming this before Sheffield United play Newcastle. So I'm still not sure if he's the long-term option, because I'm waiting to hear from Wilder about how long O'Connell's out for. I think he was downplaying the suggestion that O'Connell's going to be out for this season, so Robinson's perhaps not a season keeper. But this wild card, whilst it is setting up for the rest of the season, I've still got another 7 transfers to make after this, and I'll have a free hit as well. So I might start off with Robinson, given my poor team value, as my sort of third sub, because Sheffield United's fixtures are pretty poor, I think, from now until, well, game week 37, really. So he'll just be an emergency sub option anyway. But I do think it's important, as I've stressed previously, to have a good bench going into this run-in, because on the one hand, probably more one-pointers with 5 subs being allowed, but on the other, the way the deadlines are falling and the way the matches are so spread out, and in some cases clashing with the FA Cup games, we're going to find that a lot of clubs won't have given their pre-match press conferences before the FPL deadlines. So as we've seen today, this is Thursday we're filming, the likes of Norwich, Hanley, Zimmerman, Byram ruled out for the season. We've seen that Dennis Pratt from Leicester is a fresh doubt. Now, these aren't players who are big FPL names, but just as an example of the kind of team news that can leak out after deadlines have passed. So, yeah, good to have playing options on your bench, not necessarily world beaters. I mean, I've got the likes of Cantwell, Shane Long, and Robertson, as I said there. But you do think that they're going to get minutes, especially Long and Cantwell, who are playing for clubs scrapping for their lives. I know Long's got an injury at the moment, but you expect him to be back soon. So yeah, that's my reasoning for the sort of budget options. Anyway, you want them playing, with the exception of my backup goalkeeper. I've still got Button. But yeah, I've as we'll discuss in a second, the reason I've picked so many cheaper options at the back is because I've gone a bit bigger in midfield and attack.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't have my wild card, but I've put a few drafts together because obviously it's a big conversation. We're going to get asked a lot of questions about it, and a very similar team actually that I put together. Like, I think Pope in goal. Like I said this a million times before this deadline. Like, Henderson was great for the double game week, but going forward, probably not where you want to spend that much money with the fixtures. So I think Pope. I think he'll be a lot of people's set and forget. You've only got 2 Liverpool players in there, Trent and Mane. So 2 questions on that. 1, are you kind of worried about not having 3? Obviously, it's a lot of money. And 2, any particular reason why you've chosen Mane instead of Salah?
Purely for the saving, actually. I know it's not very much, but I think it's a 0.2 million now. And also, we've heard rumours in the past couple of days about Salah's fitness. Now, I don't know if that'll amount to anything. We should hear from Klopp on Friday before the Merseyside derby. So that's one to monitor. But I'm not concerned about having 3 because Liverpool could have the league sewn up in Game Week 31 plus. So I'd be quite happy with 2 Liverpool assets for that game. And then I think I probably will reassess after that. I don't think we're going to see the likes of Curtis Jones playing every game for the rest of the season. But you do wonder, and we've mentioned this previously, I think, on a video with you, Andy, that the likes of Lallana and Milner will probably get more run-outs than they have done. Klopp does strike me as sort of a bit of a sentimental character. I'm sure he'll give minutes to the likes of Lallana, who is leaving at the end of the season, before the end of game week 38. Yes, they've got the record points tally to go for, and you want to keep them relatively match fit or match ready for when the new season starts. But I'd be a mite concerned, I think, from the point of them winning the league onwards, as to what he's going to do on a weekly basis. He is quite a talkative chap in press conferences. Maybe he'll give us a quote one way or the other. But yeah, I did have another draft actually, very, very similar. But instead of Mane and Long, I think I had Aubameyang and Mount, which is a possibility. It's more well balanced, you'd say. And one thing I'm not too sure about is losing Aubameyang before he plays Southampton and Norwich. Those are 2 really good fixtures for Arsenal. They're not so good after that. They've got Wolves, Leicester, Spurs, and Liverpool. But that Aubameyang would be the full guy in order to accommodate Mane. So it's just weighing up who'll score the most out of those 2. You'd think it would be Mane, but then again, Liverpool's got Man City in 32. So I don't think there's a perfect solution either way. But I'm leaving myself a bit of leg room to make a decision close at the time on that. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Liverpool anyway. I think there are fewer better players in Liverpool assets, but there are more players with a lot more to play for in the running, and that would be my only concern, I think, once the title's in the bag.
Yeah, I agree. I've got 2. I'm quite happy with that. I mean, that could soon change. Like when I see them play Everton, it might panic me a bit. The only thing, and again, it's still so early days, but Aubameyang, I've got him in my free hit side for Game Week 30. But it would worry me a bit. I know they were playing Man City, and obviously that is a tough fixture, but I don't know. That side just looked so bad. And I've seen a few snippets on Twitter of people reviewing, like, he made quite a few runs that just weren't picked up. They don't have the likes of De Bruyne there to make that play. Like, if De Bruyne was on Arsenal's side last night, obviously you can say this for loads of teams when you put a world-class player in, but he would have spotted those runs that Aubameyang was making. No one in the Arsenal team did. And obviously Xhaka got injured as well, so that's a bit of a problem. So that's my only worry about him. But obviously, like you said, it is two good fixtures, and he has been so consistent this season. It could keep happening, but to drop Mane would be such a huge call. Yeah. One thing you don't have really, at least not what I would consider budget, is any budget forward. So the likes of Jota, Calvert-Lewin, Pukki. Is it just a case of not being able to fit them in, or is Rashford just the kind of player you really want going forward?
Well, Rashford's actually, much like Mane, I suppose, is someone I'm not too sure about. So I'm definitely going to get Fernandes. I'm definitely going to get one of Maguire or Wan-Bissaka. The third United slot is something I'm not sure about, whether I even want one and who that is going to be. So Martial's obviously an alternative. I could see something like 0.8 on
0.8 million
for Martial. And you worry about Rashford's minutes maybe come back from a long-term injury. We've heard from Solskjaer before the Spurs game saying that he's not going to flog his players, especially those who've just come back with the fixtures coming thick and fast. And it hasn't been a proper pre-season, really. So it's a bit of an audition period, I suppose, the Friday game against Spurs. I'll be keeping a keen eye on that. I haven't got any representation from that game in me double game week 30 squad. But I'll be watching Son, I'll be watching Rashford. I'll be seeing if Wan-Bissaka's attacking output has improved. There were signs of that. I know he's been maligned for that ever since he was signed by United, but there were signs of that improving, I think, just before the lockdown ended. I think he got a couple of assists. I had a look at his stats, his take-ons, his chances created, his crosses were all up after Christmas. I just think Maguire's maybe the more secure, because Wan-Bissaka got rested over Christmas actually in one of the games. Maguire does offer a bit of a goal threat, and now he's got Fernandes whipping those balls in from set players. He scored from one. Was it the Chelsea game?
I believe so,
yeah. From Fernandes' corner. And I had a look past through the live text commentary in previous games, and the amount of times he's been on the end of a Fernandes corner is promising. So I think I'll go Maguire and Fernandes as me two definites from United. Rashford could potentially be downgraded if I wanted to. The thing I don't like about Calvert-Lewin is his fixtures.
Yeah, agreed.
Up until 36. I think I will be getting in or looking towards him in 36. But then again, Everton are one of those teams who are comfortably mid-table, probably not going to threaten the European spots now. And you wonder whether the likes of Keane would be given game time closer to the end of the season. He might be on his way out of Everton anyway, so you don't know. But yeah, there's a few things to think about. These aren't necessarily picks for all the way through to 38. So Rashford could potentially wait till, I mean, the 31 class for Sheffield United isn't great from an attacking perspective, given how good Sheffield United are. So he could wait for maybe 32 or 33 to come in. And then I could look at Calvert-Lewin for the last three. I could look at Ings for the last three. Southampton's got three very good or decent fixtures in the last three. They'll be fighting for their lives, I would think. And you would hope that Ings by that point would be too good to rest, because I know Hasenhutl's done that in the past. But if they are scrapping for points right at the end of the season, then you can't really be resting your top goal scorer. So there are teams with better fixtures the closer you get to the end of the season. West Ham being another one. I'll have my eye on Jared Bowen. I think he impressed me before Premier League halted in March. Antonio possibly as well. But yeah, Rashford's a bit of a placeholder until I see the Spurs game and see his involvement, how he links up with Fernandes, and how many minutes Solskjaer's given him. But I do like a look at that United side. Yeah. I don't think Fernandes is a cure-all for all of the problems. But it is Solskjaer still at the helm, and the jury maybe still out on him a bit. But those fixtures are, I think, unquestionably the best in the division. I don't think there's maybe Man City beyond 32, but for a chunk of games, I think they're pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. I think a couple of things there. Like, I can't tell you, having watched Man United try and cross a ball from a corner for so long before Fernandes and not be able to beat the first man, like, he will make a huge difference set piece. That's one of the reasons I've got Maguire in. You're right about Wan-Bissaka, though. Had improved, and he even... Obviously, you expect players to always try and improve, but he did make a point of saying that as well during kind of lockdown. He has looked to try and improve. Now, how much you can really do in lockdown when you're not got like a whole team to cross to, etc., I don't know, but it is something on his mind. So yeah, I do think that's a good point for Man United players, and a lot of people are going to go kind of 2 or 3. So the one thing I'll say as well about the Sheffield United game, which is interesting, I think I could be wrong because I've only just thought of it. I think Man United are the only team to put more than 2 goals past Sheffield United this year, and one of the reasons could be no Dean Henderson. I can't remember the goals and how they went in, but Sheffield United should have conceded last night. He was the key reason they didn't, and I think David's mentioned before about how much kind of expected goals he's stopped. He's the top. Before this week, he was the top, so that could be a big thing. Because I also don't like Sheffield United as a fixture to target goals, but for Man United, it might be a little bit easier. So that's something to consider. That's
a really good point, actually. Yeah, I think the other absentee they had in that game was John Egan at centre half, and I think they played Jagielka. And as far as I can remember, I think he was caught flat-footed for at least one of the goals. So that would be considering as well. But I think, definitely, that is something to think about. If it's who would it be? Moore possibly deputising for him. So good point. I hadn't considered that, but that's makes me feel a bit better actually.
Yeah, maybe I'm clutching the straws and it won't make a difference. But it's something I just thought of when you mentioned that about playing Sheffield United. The one thing that obviously stands out, and it's a bit like when I rated David's team, is the 2 cheap attackers, so Catwell and Long. Obviously, I know you mentioned kind of rotation potentially, but would it worry you a bit about having the 2 cheapies rather than just having a constant bench option? And if you do upgrade one of them, which kind of premium attacker do you think will be the first to fall? Will it just be a simple case of Rashford, or is one of the midfielders potentially up for the chop as well to fund it?
Well, I guess Mane could go after a certain point. I guess Rashford would be towards the top of the list in terms of balance. I've already got 2 United players, so I wouldn't feel like I'm missing out too much. And you'd think the goals might be shared around a bit, and the minutes perhaps as well. So I could look towards that. I'd already considered downgrading Jimenez to Jota, for example, but I've got money tied up in Jimenez, and my team value is already abject after game week 30. So I'm loath to sell him. Same with Alexander-Arnold to an extent as well. I like Son in there, so but I could theoretically downgrade him to Steven Bergwijn, who again, this is going to be a big game. I think this is the Friday night match against United. I know we can't judge too much of one match. It's just a small sample pool, but I think he might benefit more from Kane being in the side. If it's Son and Bergwijn either side of Kane, you know how much Kane likes to drop deep, link up play. And if Son and Bergwijn are running past him, I think Bergwijn's pretty pacey. Then he could be a decent budget option or alternative to Son. It's just the fact that they've got so many midfield alternatives, the likes of Lamela, Lucas Moura. Sissoko was even played on the right hand side as well. Son could potentially be downgraded. I don't mind having Cantwell in there. I think or Duda, possibly same price for Norwich. Norwich have got some really good home fixtures coming up. Everton, Brighton, West Ham and Burnley all to come at home. So he could be wheeled out for those games. Long, I think's the obvious weakness. But if I was playing Cantwell in say, 6 of the remaining 8 game weeks anyway, then I wouldn't need Long to do that much for me other than being an emergency sub. But yeah, I agree with you there. I know what you're saying. It's not ideal. If I had a better team value, then it would be an easier remedy for that. But I'm kind of working with the funds I've got. But then again, I've got 4 playing defenders. I could go 4-4-2 as well if I wanted to play Lascelles and Holgate one week, for example. So there's options there.
Yeah, definitely.
Even if it's not an ideal scenario.
Yeah, I don't think you can. I mean, you could drop Jimenez to Jota, but I just think he is like Jimenez is the main man. For me, Jota would be like a kind of second attacker rather than instead of. We've seen him before do as well as Jimenez, but it doesn't. He's nowhere near as consistent as Jimenez usually, at least not across like kind of a span of 8 games. Yeah, I think. I don't know if I could ever like a team with 2 4.7s and having to play one. You did make a good case for Cantwell. So I won't give you. I'll give you a C minus. I think for this team because I do think. Yeah, I think you'll end up only because I think you'll end up reducing one of the other attackers to accommodate. Because one thing you haven't got there is also like a kind of 6-ish million midfielder. Someone like a Sarr, maybe a Barnes.
Yeah.
Might be a little bit better. But he did make a good case for Cantwell. Duda as well looks good. I know you've written about him as well, so it could be decent. Jack Robertson, obviously, for people watching, just keep an eye out for the O'Connell news. 'Cause if he's back soon, then you'd expect Robinson to step straight out given the amount of games that O'Connell plays. Cool. Anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
Nope. Just the usual disclaimer that this is all subject to change, but this I'm pretty confident that is the spine of the team I'm going to have. I think I'm probably over half of those players are going to remain no matter what I do now between now and the Tuesday deadline. So yeah, again, I'll keep you posted. If anyone really gives a hoot, I'll hopefully keep you posted. Maybe I'll tell you more in the team news video if we do one on Monday. If any changes I've made.
Yeah, I think captaincy over the next few weeks is going to be interesting, especially with City playing Liverpool. I think we could see a bit of a few differentials going. But yeah, well, if we do the team news, we'll have to figure out how many press conferences and stuff there's going to be before then. We'll certainly get a draft up. Otherwise, yeah, leave it there. If you've enjoyed this, make sure to give it a like, subscribe if you're new around here. I'll say goodbye, Neale.
Cheers, Andy. See you next time.
Cheers, all, and we'll see you again soon.